Hey guys, so this is not a TikTok, this is an ordinary video and the reading of Demeter and Persephone in case you need it. Also the standard. So this is reading literature 2.6, which is analyze how an author develops and contrasts the points of view of different characters or narrators in a text. So mostly when you read this, you're going to be looking for points of view and how they compare within a text. So I'm going to read you Demeter and Persephone from the textbook, which you can get online. Deep under Mount Etna, the gods had buried alive a number of fearful fire-breathing giants. The monsters heaved and struggled to get free, and so mightily did they shake the earth that Pluto, the king of the underworld, was alarmed. They may tear the rocks asunder and leave the realm of the dead open to the night of day, he thought, and mounting his golden chariot, he went up to see what damage had been done. Now the goddess of love and beauty, fair Aphrodite, was sitting on a mountainside playing with her son Eros. She saw Pluto as he drove around in his coal-black horses, and she said, "My son, there's one who defies your power and mine. Quick, take up your dart, send an arrow into the breast of the dark monarch. Let him, too, feel the pangs of love. Why should he alone escape them?" At his mother's words, Eros leaped lightly to his feet. He chose from his quiver his sharpest and truest arrow, fitted it to his bow, drew the string, and shot straight into Pluto's heart. The grim king had never seen fair maids enough in the gloomy underworld over which he ruled, but never had his heart been touched. Now unaccustomed warmth stole through his veins. His stern eyes softened. Before him was a blossoming valley, and along its edge a charming girl was gathering flowers. She was Persephone, daughter of Demeter, goddess of the harvest. She had strayed from her companions, and now that her basket overflowed with blossoms, she was filling her apron with lilies and violets. The god looked at Persephone and loved her at once. With one sweep of his arm, he caught her up and drove away swiftly. "Mother," she screamed, while the flowers fell from her apron and strewed the ground. "Mother!" She called on her companions by name, but already they were out of sight, so fast did Pluto urge the horses on. In a few moments, they were at the river Chiam. Persephone struggled her loosened girdle, and it fell to the ground, but the god held her tightly. He struck the bank with his trident. The earth opened, and darkness swallowed them all, horses, chariot, Pluto, and the weeping Persephone. By the way, you should look at the footnotes if you're reading along in the text while I'm reading, just because it explains a lot. From end to end of the earth, Demeter sought her daughter, but no one could tell her where Persephone was. At last, worn out and despairing, the goddess turned to Sicily. She stood by the river Seine, where Pluto had cleft the earth and gone down into his own dominions. Now a river nymph had seen him carry off his prize. She wanted to tell Demeter where her daughter was, but fear of Pluto kept her dumb. Yet she had picked up the girdle Persephone had dropped, and this the nymph wafted on the waves to the feet of Demeter. The goddess knew then that her daughter was gone indeed, but she did not suspect Pluto of carrying her off. She laid the blame on the innocent land. "Ungrateful soil," she said, "I made you fertile. I clothed you in grass and nourishing grain, and this is how you reward me? No more shall you enjoy my favors." That year was the most cruel mankind had ever known. Nothing prospered, nothing grew. The cattle died, the seed would not come up. Men and oxen toiled in vain. There was too much sun and there was too much rain. Thistles and weeds were the only things that grew. It seemed that all mankind would die of hunger. "This cannot go on," said mighty Zeus. "I must intervene." And one by one he sent the gods and goddesses to plead with Demeter. But she had the same answer for all. "Not till I see my daughter shall the earth bear fruit again." Zeus, of course, knew well where Persephone was. He did not like to take from his brother the one joyful thing in his life, but he saw that he must if the race of man was to be preserved. So he called Hermes to him, and he said, "Descend to the underworld, my son. Bid Pluto release his bride, provided she has not tasted food in the realm of the dead. She may return to her mother forever." Down sped Hermes on his winged feet, And there in the dim palace of the king he found Persephone by Pluto's side. She was pale and joyless. Not all the glittering treasures of the underworld could bring a smile to her lips. "You have no flowers here," she would say to her husband when he pressed gems upon her. "Jewels have no fragrance. I do not want them." When she saw Hermes and heard his message, her heart leaped within her. Her cheeks grew rosy and her eyes sparkled, for she knew that Pluto would not dare to disobey his brother's command. She sprang up, ready to go at once. Only one thing troubled her, that she could not leave the underworld forever, for she had accepted a pomegranate from Pluto and sucked the sweet pulp from 4 of the seeds. With a heavy heart, Pluto made ready his golden car. He helped Persephone in while Hermes took up the reins. "Dear wife," said the king, and his voice trembled as he spoke, "think kindly of me, I pray you, for indeed I love you truly. It will be lonely here these 8 months you are away. And if you think mine is a gloomy palace to return to, at least remember that your husband is great among the immortals. So fare you well, and get your fill of flowers." Straight to the temple of Demeter at Eleusis, Hermes drove the black horse. The goddess heard the chariot wheels, and as a deer bounds over the hills, she ran out swiftly to meet her daughter. Persephone flew to her mother's arms, and the sad tale of each turned into joy in the telling. So it is to this day. 1/3 of the year Persephone spends in the gloomy abode of Pluto, 1 month for each seed that she tasted. Then nature dies, the leaves fall, the earth stops bringing forth. In spring, Persephone returns, and with her come the flowers, followed by a summer's fruitfulness and the rich harvest of fall.